That is
All right.
crazy. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. I think I'm the only millennial in that I know that doesn't really do social media.
Good
Oh,
for you.
how
How long have you been doing this, Courtney?
Not very long, since 2017.
Good for you, though. You've
Yeah,
obviously found something that works.
yeah.
right, right.
I
We
didn't even have
are.
a Facebook. I didn't have anything until I started my business. I just put it on there because
Hello,
people are
hello,
always like, "What's your
hello.
Facebook? What's your Instagram?" I'm like, "What?"
That we are live now. I'm just starting to share inside of the group right now. We are talking about the great social media blackout that happened maybe like a month or so ago. Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome to the final day of Prep for Wave Week.
You made
This,
it.
yeah, this is sure to be a jam-packed session. Amazing speakers who their primary strategy in attracting and working with clients is not really on social media, but also some tips on how to position yourself if you are utilizing social media. So, welcome, Michelle, and welcome, Courtney.
Hello, hello, everyone.
Hi.
Thank
Happy
you
Wave
so much
Week,
for being here. Yes.
and
Uh,
thank you for having me here,
Well, thank
Rita.
you so much for being here. I think you both offer a very unique perspective that people need to hear about. So, Michelle, can you
Yes,
please do just a quick intro on yourself and your major strategy that you utilize in attracting clients and even retaining your clients?
sure. My name is Michelle. I have been in the industry 16 years, always working from home, never in a brick and mortar. I started out, well, I grew up in the diplomatic corps, so I had already traveled a lot, but didn't know the business side of it, which is very different. So in the beginning, I did everything, sold everything, just didn't know which way to go. And then, but I was still, slowly growing my business. Then 8 years later, around 2013, I attended a retreat. It's a group coaching program, and it was in Jamaica, and got the idea of partnering with other businesses. And that's when my light bulb went off and came up with a strategy that I still use along with individual business. I don't only do groups, but it is a major part of our business. And now I really focus on that a lot. It's helped to save my business during COVID. Otherwise, I would
Mhm.
have had not much income at all. But
Right.
that's about it.
Awesome. Thank you. And Courtney, you also own a travel business. So tell us a little bit about your niche in the travel business, but also how you support other travel business owners.
Yeah, so I got into the travel industry in 2017. So I still like to call myself a newbie because I'm still like wet behind the
Welcome.
ears. Thanks. But I was kind of like Michelle. I traveled a lot. My husband's used to be a professional basketball player, so I lived
Nice.
overseas, Hungary, yeah,
Mm.
Amsterdam. But now he's a basketball coach, so we came back to the States. But I had a destination with like I was just the go-to, so I was like, let me give it a real, just because we had moved. This is our 8th move now in 12 years. Yeah, so we had moved, and like I was like, I didn't go to school get this master's degree to do nothing. Like I've got to figure this thing out because the
Yeah.
jobs that I should be getting, I'm not getting because they're like, you're not gonna be here. So long story short, um, that's how I got into the travel industry. And Travel Bash is one of my businesses that focus on destination weddings in groups.
Mhm.
No cruises. I know it's Wave Week and all that. I'm not your go-to for cruises. And then I launched TRBOB, which is a subscription, kind of a yearly retainer for high-end affluent US travelers. So I cap it 50 clients, and they work with me, kind of travel portfolio planning built throughout the year. And I know you mentioned like, what's the business that I help support other agents? So I recently opened up Compass Collective, which is a consultancy for not just travel advisors, but travel brands looking to reach a diverse market with a lot of the things that have gone on this past year, last year. It was kind of like my way to get back. I come from a political family, so I was like, I'm not the one that's gonna like run and do all the things, but this is like my way to give back and try to, I guess, push the ball a little farther up the court. So I think the last thing you asked, kind of the strategy I use, or one of my big things is for Travel Bash, I really specifically work through content marketing. So not so much as social media, but I'm a pretty good writer. And because I was a destination bride, I literally just ask questions that other people would be asking. So basically my process, or what I was thinking when I went through the process, I just did a detailed answer. So basically when I first started going and I was booming, even my first year, 86% of all my traffic was Google organic search. Like I literally took advantage of the content of SEO
Wow.
and just wrote
Oh,
and like was coming up on the front page. So that was like my biggest thing. I've kind of shifted a little bit now with my other businesses, but that's still my go-to day to day for my destination
oh.
wedding travel company.
When you say you wrote, does that mean you're writing on a blog? And if yes, how often are you writing?
Yes. So when I first started, it is a blog on my website. And when I first started, I was trying to do 2 pieces of content a week. Content is king. The more you push out, the more you'll be featured. That's just you. There's no way to get around it. So once I became established, but you can still see, like when you Google different things, some of my writings are still from 2017 when I first started, or 2018. I'll go back and update. So now I try to put out at least 2 pieces of content a month. So when I was starting and building, it was twice a week, like clockwork. Tuesdays and Thursdays, they would always come out. So, you know, I was pushing it. And now that Google recognizes my website, it's like, oh, she's someone of authority. Like this is legit destination wedding stuff. I put out an ebook, and then I did some Google knowledge thing. You know, I set up some things. So now I don't do it as much, but it's just going back and updating those most popular blogs that get hits.
Awesome. That is so. We talked a little bit about keywords yesterday in our copy session. Do you sprinkle in keywords, or you just kind of write and you make sure that whatever topic you're discussing is based on your ideal client?
So I literally just write. And then after I write, I go and get it edited.
Okay.
And then I have someone on my team that works in digital marketing. That's why the Fight Camp's behind me. He actually does digital marketing for Fight Camp, and he helps me out on the side. So then he'll go back and kind of say, okay, instead of just saying this, you should say destination wedding. Instead of saying this, you should do this. So then he'll sprinkle it in. So I literally just write, then I get it edited, and then he goes over it to just, you know, optimize blog posts.
Love that. Love that.
Yeah,
when we're thinking back to whenever the blackout was, Michelle, kind of what were your feelings? Did you even know there was a social media blackout with your current attraction strategy?
Honestly, no, I didn't quite realize it. But as far as my clients are not really on social media, as far as marketing, we cater to upscale boomers and seniors who are typically retired or semi-retired and have quite a bit of disposable income to travel 4 to 5 times a year. One of those trips being our group trip. And then of course we try to capture some of those other trips that they take, ideally all, but you know, can't necessarily get them all. So no, I didn't know it was happening. I mentioned to you that I'm not actively marketing as far as doing funnels and things I do before, but what I do, it's really no different than before COVID. I am a wine lover. I'm a foodie and that sort of thing. I love art. I was at we were saying before we came on here, I was at a garden center just the other day. We moved to Florida. We're doing a lot of landscaping. And I was at a beautiful garden center where I live. And I'm looking around, they have 7 acres. And I'm going, okay, they would be perfect for a tulip time river cruise in 2023. And I will approach them. Now it's a process. I don't want to go there the first visit, but they're on my list. I was at it's a business that also opened a wine bar. But the business they have is still wine themed, where you do painting and, you know, sip and that. So I walked in and I spoke with her and I said, hey, you know, told her who I am, what I do. Absolutely. She's interested once the wine bar opens. So as I just go about my daily life, I'm very, deliberate about where I'm going to go and what I'm going to do. And when I go, and I still get my groups in my business that way.
So how do you find these events? Like you were saying, it was like a garden. Was it a garden event, or you just went to
it's a nursery, a garden center. We're landscaping our yard anyway. So we physically went there to look for flowers. And I also did a video. So wouldn't that be great for a tulip time river cruise? The owners, I'm going to approach about being the host and hostess, you know, how we do with our wine themes, and have them take however many of their, maybe, I don't know, 30 or 40 of their clients on a Tulip Time River Cruise for
Mm-hmm.
2023. That's the idea of it.
So how do you how do you take that next step? Because I feel that's something a lot of us are nervous about. Like, okay, I found the person, and how do I start communicating them without being like, you should do this, like being over enthusiastic?
Well, there's two ways. When I first started, I did it all by email.
Okay.
I don't send letters in the mail and postage, but it's too expensive. And with email, you have a record. Did it come back undeliverable? Maybe it was a bad email. Did they respond? Most of the times, they're not going to respond. If they did, what did they say? Did you respond? So I don't do physical mail. So I still would do that if I were starting out today. I would still do it as I, Googling and narrowing it down to who I want to approach based on my passions and businesses that match that. But now, just being, out in the open, what you do is you walk in the door. Of course, make sure when you walk in, make sure it's the kind of business that you can plan a trip for. Okay. And I hopefully introduce myself to the owner. If not, are you the manager, what have you? And I just say, hi, my name is Michelle. I am a travel agent. I live here in the area. I would love to speak with the owner and email them about working together to have them escort, be the host and hostess on a wine themed, tulip time themed, whatever it is that you're talking about, river cruise in Europe. You're not going to talk about the whole thing there. You just want to get an email address, not a phone number. You want an email address or give them, well, the thing is, if you give them your card, you want their card.
Yeah.
Okay. You don't even need to leave them your card because they're probably going to throw it away. You just want theirs. So you just introduce yourself and give the 10 words or less version of why you want to email them. So it's a step-by-step process. They're not going to say yes to you standing there. They don't know you. Okay, it's breadcrumbs, one step at a time, and that's what I have in my program. Because when I went through this, I was like, if I'm having success with this, other agents will also, but I don't want to spend my time coaching people. So I said, how can I put this in modules where they can go do it themselves? Sure, ask me questions. I'm available. I live and breathe, JV partnerships, but just introduce yourself, say who you are, what you do, and can you get their contact info to reach out to them? And you want to say so that they can host their clients on a wine-themed river cruise. Oh my God. I mean,
Right?
who would say no to that? Or a Mediterranean, whatever. We do river cruises and small ship ocean primarily.
Okay.
We do escorted tours, like we partner with a whiskey distillery in Delaware. And they, the owners, it was in 19, so it was right before COVID. We did a whiskey themed tour in Ireland. Okay. And they loved it. Now we're putting together a Scotch themed tour of Scotland. So the owners are escorting their clients. And that's what they do. The owners will travel for free, and there's more to it. But absolutely, it's just another way to market your business. It's different. Who else is doing that? And people love it. It grows their business. Agents will say to me, well, for vineyards, why would a vineyard want to take, their clients to another vineyard's clients? You're looking at this wrong. Okay. People are going on these trips anyway. Are we not booking these people on these river cruises? We are. River cruises are 95, 98% filled by agents. So people are taking these trips. So why not approach these business owners and say, hey, why not organize and take advantage and benefit in these four main ways and approach your clients and stand out in that way? Secondly, what we find is the vineyards and the wine bars who have a wine club, and most of them do, that's how they market it, as a benefit of being a wine club member. And a lot of the wine club members will bring another couple who is not a wine club member. And before the cruise is over, they have joined the wine club because they had such a great time. And they told friends. So yes, don't look at it that, it's just competition. It's not competition. It grows their business.
Right. No, there's so many things that we can go over in that, because having recently attended a wine cruise and gotten some one-on-one time real quick to pick the brain of the owner, there's so much in that, but that's that's probably for another session that we can
Oh my gosh.
unpack like all the basics of that. I want to get back to Courtney a little bit, and I know we had an amazing podcast interview a couple months ago talking about values and how putting our own values forward kind of helps to attract people to our businesses. So when we're talking about values, can you just like break down a little bit of some of the things that we talked about in there and how people can utilize those values to attract people to their businesses?
Yeah. So I'm a big proponent of, I just feel like we didn't get in business to be like, let me just say this. I created my business around my life instead of my life around my business. So I'm creating the life I want to live. So I have to eat, sleep, and breathe that. And if I'm telling others they can do that or you can have this too, then it goes back to what people value. So I try to make sure that whether it's marketing or whether it's me when I speak to someone or the itineraries that I put together or even the resorts or travel partners I do business with, all reflect what I'm sharing. So I'm consistent with what I've been sharing with clients as well as what I've been preaching, if that makes sense. So like, I'm a big proponent of adventure and passion. So like, everybody always does like these words or like, oh, this does this, but I really try to eat, sleep, and breathe in. Like if you ask people on my team, they're going to say it's quality over quantity. For instance, with TRVLB, we don't want to be, mass marketing. We won't be the Walmart of the traveling. There's some that do volume, but that's not us. You know what I mean? Like we're client centered. Yes. Do we have policies and do we charge fees? Yes. However, that also means that we put the client first. So obviously there's a situation that takes place. We're not going to go back to the main one. Well, Courtney said you have to charge a cancellation fee for it. Like it's kind of common sense, even though I know these days common sense isn't as common, but it's just applying some of those things. Like we're all about working hard, play hard, meaning we are gonna be advocating for you. We're gonna like slam out this amazing activity. You're gonna have an amazing time. We work hard, but we also don't take ourselves serious. We're not curing cancer. We're travel advisors. We put amazing trips together for memories for other people to share. So when I talk about like values and different things like that, it goes back to your mission and why you're in business. So I really try to make sure that I connect the dots with my why and your why. And as a client, I always try to make sure that I'm a good fit because I turn business away a lot of times because that first initial call, I'm not talking to you about price for the simple fact that the clients that I have, especially with TRVLB, you're already qualified or we wouldn't be on the phone. At this point, what I'm doing is interviewing you just like you should be interviewing me because in order to create what I'm trying to create, especially with TRVLB, where I'm doing a year-long kind of subscription membership, I have to get to know you. I'm a part of your inner circle. Like we're delivering high-level, curated, seamless travel plans, and I can't do that with somebody I barely know. You know what I mean? Like I need to know if Maddie's 10th recital. I need to know about your wife. You know what I mean? Like the more and more I know, oh, you only do Hendrix Gin, so there's no need to step off the plane and give you something else. I mean, but that all ties into their value. And so when I'm talking to someone also, it lets me know that you value what I do because then that gets all the tire kickers. You don't even have to worry about that. So when you're attracting clients, when you have your values in line, you're going to attract what you put out. Yeah. So
Absolutely.
your aura, if you're saying, oh, I do this, those type of people are going to gravitate towards you. And it's just like your website. I always tell people, they're always trying to create their website and make it look cute and for themselves, but your website's not for you. It's for the people you want. And really, you should be repelling instead of attracting. I want somebody to go to my website and go, ooh, this looks too expensive.
She's too expensive. Yep.
I want this. Oh, I got to apply.
Perfect. Yes.
Form. Yes, you have to fill out that form. Because there are people that I want fill out that form with no problems and they're ready to go ahead and drop this money down without even blinking an eye because it's nothing.
Right.
So if you're making it easy and casting that wide net, and you're not seeing results, that's probably why.
That I love that. And I think that's something that a lot more of us need to be hearing because we need to get that confidence to like, no, I am not going to do this. And yes, these are the things that I do focus on because I think that's exactly what client attraction is. You're attracting the right people and you're making sure that the wrong people say, ew, No.
Right. And at the end of the day, you're the expert. You have the knowledge. That's what people are paying you for. I know a lot of times we get this. I think that's why they're changing their name from travel agent to travel advisor. People think that their job is just to book a hotel or book a cruise. That is not your job. Anybody can book anything online. That's not what they're hiring you for. So if that's what you think you're doing, I think you've got it totally. Like, I've been in business long, but I feel like you need to probably go back, do some more training or some research, because you're not in the business of just book trips. That's only part of your job. That's probably the easiest part.
Right. Love
You're in
that.
the people business. You're really in the people business. You're not really in the travel business. The suppliers are in the travel business.
Correct.
You're in the people business.
Travel just happens to be your industry, but that's not what you do. And what I find is that a lot of people that I've spoken to, especially as a newer agent, they know travel, but they don't know how to run a business. And really, that's what you're doing. You're a business owner. And it was so key when you said kind of how you attract people, because my background before I got into travel is I was a major gift fundraiser. So I was around high net worth. If you got a call from me, that means you could give me 100,000 plus to put your name on a building or a scholarship or something like that. And a lot of things you were saying are literally a process that they put in place for fundraisers when you come into the university setting, which is identifying, qualifying. Like she said, no, we're just planting the seed. We're just dropping the nugget. When she goes into that garden shop, she's not automatically going to be like, do you want to do this? All she's doing is saying this. So I say she's identified at the garden center who could do it. Now she's going to qualify like, oh, I saw the 7 acres. I know they can do it. Now she's cultivating that relationship. The first step was introducing it myself, giving them the email, following up. You're going to take the time. You might go in there and buy a few things. It's like a date.
Exactly.
You don't ask somebody to marry you on the first date. And then as she builds, she's going to actually solicit.
That's true. It is a date. I call it a dance. I love that.
Right. So then eventually she's going to solicit. At this point, she's got to ask for the sale, because that's where we stop. Some people get all the way up and they're like, oh, I can't ask. You've done all this work. Now you're going to solicit. You're going to go for the sale. Then afterwards, you're going to stewardship. That's what fundraising. Steward is basically, we're thanking them, we're staying in touch, we're giving them more ideas for the future. So it's really identifying, qualifying, cultivating, soliciting, stewardship. So when you're doing that, you don't need social media, because the formula is the same. It's just in the way that you want to do it. So literally what I would say, or what I was going to say, is literally what Michelle said. It's just that my formal corporate background or university would say, Courtney, you're identified. Here's the 5 ways to identify. Now you're qualified. Check this, and that. You're asking these questions, or you're searching, doing the research. Then you're cultivating. But literally, that's basically what she's doing.
Right.
It's science and art.
Very good.
You're in the building relationship, like she said, people business.
It's a people business. I think where a lot of agents get hung up is they think they need to make the sale on that very first contact.
It's the long game.
That is wrong. It is a process. It is a dance. Like Courtney said, it's a date. And dates take time. And I loved what she said. It's true. It's a process and it takes time, but it's worth it. And the first time will take the longest. Subsequent times will not.
It'll be easier.
It'll be a whole lot easier. And it's wash, rinse, repeat.
Right.
Yes. And some people will go and they'll ask for the sale, and they might be excited because they get it. But this is the thing. If they would have waited, they would have gotten more.
Exactly.
When you go and try to do the fast sale, you only get 5 when you could have got 5,000. You know, you might get that first business, but if you would have waited, they could have brought you a group of 100,000 bids. So it's not always that fast game of doing something.
Take your time. It's a process.
Yes. I'm going to open it up to questions. So advisors, if you have questions for Michelle or Courtney, please go ahead and pop them in the comments. I did get this comment for you, Michelle. Yes, I love Michelle's program. I'm going to restart implementing her teachings in 2022. Didn't get too much traction due to COVID, like all of us, but I'm prepared now.
Awesome. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Email me if you have any questions. Please do. You know, this is my favorite subject.
Yes. So when you guys are looking to cultivate those relationships, where are you guys going? I know, Michelle, it looks like you're going out into the community. Courtney,
and I still email, and I might email too if I see something, because proximity is not an issue. Okay, I still work with the whiskey distillery in Delaware, so email still, and like you said, going out in the community.
Yeah. So for me, in one of my businesses, Travel Bash, which is more millennial and kind of mass marketed, you know, they are the seers, doers. It's kind of creating that FOMO. Is more of like word of mouth because their friends told a friend. Or again, I told you kind of my content kind of, I really key in on the digital marketing aspect. But as far as TRVLB, what I do is I identify people by a lot of my clients are professionals as far as like doctors, lawyers, accountants. So what I've done is research associations that we could join or like get on Facebook groups where your kind of ideal or target market client is hanging out. So you're the only one in there that's doing what you do, because obviously everybody else is the doctor, so they're doing things like that. But also professional groups. We've looked at PA. The best thing is somebody's assistant. I have so many executives that have assistants and they're overworked, they get on their nerves, and you're like, hey girl, I can do all this for you. Tell me where you're gonna go. So we've gotten in with like PAs for doctors and assistants, and we become best friends, and we've sent them things, and they're like, Courtney, such and such, he's taking off here, and he needs to add 3 days to such and such while you're there. Oh, and his wife is furious, like, can you send this and that? So, and they're chatty Cathy. So they're gonna tell you, the assistants are like one step in the family, one step out. They know everything, their day to day, they know what's going on. And we've had a lot of success with getting in with those professional associations and or like those assistants and those people that are actually the doers or on the ground getting this done versus like high level.
Would either of you say that you are even marketing on social media at all right now, or it's really just building relationships and utilizing other forms of content?
I am not on social media. One bit of advice that I could give as far as the groups, because that's what I focus on. I still do individual travel, and I don't encourage anyone to only focus on groups because it's about 18 months before that trip goes, and that's a long time to wait to get paid. But when I first started, another way that I went to find groups is, all right, my clients are upscale boomers and seniors. So I looked for upscale 55 and up communities, in the general vicinity. And usually before the HOA is handed over from the developer to the residents. Once it's handed over, they're responsible for all their expenses. And so they tend to start a newsletter, and they want advertisers for that newsletter. So you would call the clubhouse or email them, or what I did is I typed up a letter. And I said, hi, my name is Michelle. I'm a travel agent in the area. I am interested in advertising in your community newsletter. If you are looking for advertisers, I drove over there and I slid it under the clubhouse door. And I left my business card, and they called me back and said, absolutely, we're looking for advertisers. And that's when I started advertising. If you pay in full for the year, you get usually 10% discount. But if not, pay monthly. And then after the, say, second issue, when I was in there, I reached out, I read it cover to cover, and I looked to see who is on the travel committee. And it tells you there, because each committee does a little report or whatever section, an article, and I emailed them, hi, I'm Michelle, I advertise in your newsletter. And they want to patronize their advertisers, don't they? I would be happy to work with you on a group, and you go from there.
Okay. Wonderful. And what about yourself, Courtney? Do you do anything on social media still?
So I literally was not on social media until I started my business in 2017. And I was thinking, oh, everybody's saying you got to have a Facebook, you got to have Instagram, you got to do all that. And then I slowly but surely was like, I don't have to do that. Like, I think if you go to my Travel Bash page, the last time I put something was like August or September. And like TRVLB, I haven't really put anything. I do have a Travel Bash Instagram, but it's not very up to date. The only one that I can tell you consistently that I focus on is Pinterest, and that's because I'm in the wedding space, and two, because a lot of my content I can flood out, so I use Tailwind to schedule it, and then I let it go. So Pinterest is the main thing, and literally when I have people that come in, they found me through a blog post or Pinterest. Those have been my number two, like my two drivers is content from Google organic search or Pinterest. But I'm not on Instagram. You won't see me doing any stories. I don't do anything on my Facebook page. I do have a Facebook page like a Courtney Nichols, and you'll see some of my travels, or you'll see basketball, something with my husband. But like, I don't actively, like, people are always like, Courtney, you need to do that. I don't have time for that. And I don't like social media. I'm the only millennial that I know. That's what I was telling Rita Michelle before. I'm probably the only millennial I know that, because I'm not caught up in that, because you're looking at somebody's highlight reel. And the problem is it causes more harm for me than what it does market my business. And on top of that, I get people that are tire kickers that are like, oh, such and such took this trip in Bali in the swing. Can I go to this and sit in the swing? And they don't know Michelle is a little influencer or somebody's paid. Or then you tell them how much it costs to go to Bora Bora on that overwater bungalow that they sent. And they're like, what? It costs that much? Such and such. Right. Because you're looking at somebody's highlight reels. I need you to call me when you're ready to go. Like,
right.
Yeah, it's the aspirational people I get. And I don't want aspirational because I'm talking about a luxury like subscription where you're paying me up front. So I'm dealing with people who have money, not people who want to have money. I'm not saying that you won't one day, then one day I'll be here to service you. But right now I can't be trying to make your dreams come true. I need it to be a everyday, like travel is something you do. It's a lifestyle. Like it's mandatory, not like this once in a lifetime bucket list. We don't do bucket lists. Bucket list for someone else is what our clients do every day.
Every day.
Wow. I love that you pointed that out too. Let me get to some of the comments again. Michelle, Aaron will contact you. So thank you.
Hi, Aaron. Yes.
And then Angela has a question. What is the name of your program, Michelle? And I'll pop
well, it's called JV Group Strategy. It's a joint, but JV stands for joint venture. So it's jvgroupstrategy.com. And what you're doing is you're joint venturing with another business that shares a common interest with the client base you have or want to have. Okay. So you partner with that business and you leverage their client base because that business is filling the space for you. You're not filling the space. You're going to give them something in return and you'll learn that, but you're leveraging their platforms. So in your research, you're going to make sure it's a business like Courtney's so that you would partner with the kind of clients like she would have with the kind of clients you want. And you're going to reach out to them and they fill the space for you.
Love it. Love it. And then I popped up the website so that if you wanted to head over, just do a quick screenshot and grab that.
I should tell you real quick, I'm giving $50 off only until Monday midnight. So after that, I think my webmaster has it where it just automatically goes back. So just as an FYI. Do
they need any special code to get that?
No code. Thank you. No. Okay. No code. It's automatically set for that when you go. Thank you.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. And then Courtney, how can travel advisors reach out to you if they'd like to follow up?
So that's my website, except it's missing the dash in between. So it's www.travel-bash.
Got it.
Yeah. And not to be like the luxury snob and feel like everybody, I know everybody has different clients and everybody has a different strategy, but literally, even like she said, if you're not looking for luxury clientele, you're just like, hey, I'm going to take anybody, or not taking anybody, but you're like, I'm not necessarily focused on the luxury market. Yoga studios, you can partner to do a wellness retreat or a trip, a personal trainer. I have a personal trainer. Like if they want to do something, there's so many different businesses that you can partner with for whatever it is that you're trying to do. Because I've worked with the yoga studio. I worked with a personal trainer. Like, golf clubs that do a golf trip. Scuba diving is huge.
Yes.
Get scuba trips. So it's country clubs that go to the country club. So it's not just like, oh, Courtney's a snob. Like, I don't have those clients. I wish I could, but like, she's not helpful. What can I do with my business right now? But there's still things that you can implement wherever you are, whatever you're wanting to do to increase your sales or your clientele.
Rita, can I give one tip of what somebody could look at for a group next year?
Sure. Yeah.
It doesn't have to be a group. It could also be just, individual travel. And I thought of this, Courtney, because you focus a lot on weddings. I don't do weddings or honeymoons really. Next year, and it's because my mother's family's from Jamaica, so I know this. I keep track of all things Jamaican. Next year is Jamaica's 60th year of independence. Okay, so that's a huge party on the island. Their Independence Day is August 6th, so it's usually a week-long event. I honestly would not be on the island that week. It's going to be overrun. But the entire year could be a celebratory year. So have you sent clients to Jamaica for honeymoons? Have you done destination weddings? Even if you haven't, that's a great opportunity to say, hey, do you know there's going to be a big party in Jamaica next year? They're turning 60. So look at things like that and ways to wrap it around a celebration or an event. When you look at businesses, are they celebrating, 10 years next year or in a couple of years? That's a reason to celebrate and do a group trip.
Yep.
Love that.
I think
That
St. Martin in Puerto Rico right now, this month, they're doing their food and wine festival. So like,
There you are.
if there's food and wine festivals or a jazz fest or, you know what I mean? Like things like that.
Absolutely. Yep.
that I love that kind of marketing in, and I know there's so many ideas, but really like hone in on like 1 to 2 core ideas that you got from here and kind of like go deep in those rather than going wide. I think that was also mentioned a little bit earlier, like go deep in a strategy before you start adding multiple strategies there.
Yes.
Well, Michelle and Courtney, thank you so incredibly much for being here and sharing your wisdom with us. I so appreciate it.
Hope you enjoyed Wave Week. Thanks for having me. Nice to meet you, Courtney. And focus on groups.
Yes. And travel advisors. We have one last session, and that's at 3 p.m. Eastern today, crafting a memorable client experience. If you're in study hall, I will see you in just a few minutes. Oh, we got to thank you. I was like, a comment came in before we get off. We got to thank you, ladies. And I think that's all the updates that I have for you. So thank you so much, everybody.
Bye.
And I'll see you
Happy
soon.
Wave Week. Bye. Thanks, Rita. Bye, everyone.